Well, welcome back to the online classes, my dear students. How are you all doing? Hopefully, you all are doing fine, right? So, as we have finished the first portion of the story, The Best Christmas Present in the World, and whatever you have learned, read, that was explained in the video in much better way for your understanding. Now, we are going to start the second chapter, the second portion of the same story, the second part. As you all are very curious to know the story, that what had happened on that particular Christmas day, and of what Christmas present is being talked about in this chapter. So now let us start with the reading. Dearest Connie, I write to you in a much happier frame of mind because something wonderful has just happened that I must tell you about at once. We were all standing in our trenches yesterday morning, Christmas morning. It was crisp and quite all about, as beautiful as morning as I have ever seen, as cold and frosty as a Christmas morning should be. I should like to be able to tell you that we began it, but the truth, I'm ashamed to say, is that Fridge began it. First, someone saw a white flag waving from the trenches opposite. Then they were calling out to us from across no man's land, Happy Christmas, Tommy! Happy Christmas! When we had got over the surprise, some of us shouted back, Same to you, Fridge, same to you. I thought that would be that. We all did. But then suddenly, one of them was up there in his greatcoat and waving a white flag. Don't shoot, lads, someone shouted, and no one did. Then there was another Fridge up on the parapet, and another. Keep your heads down, I told the men. It's a trick, but it wasn't. One of the Germans was waving a bottle above his head. It is Christmas Day, Tommy. We have scraps, we have sauces, we meet you, yes? By this time, there were dozens of them walking towards us across no man's land, and not a rifle between them. Little Private Morris was the first. Come on, boys, what are we waiting for? And then there was no stopping them. I was the officer. I should have stopped them there. And then I suppose, but the truth is that it never occurred to me I should. All along their lines and ours, I could see men walking slowly towards each another. Grey coats, khaki coats meeting in the middle, and I was one of them. I was part of this in the middle of the war. We were making peace. You cannot imagine, dearest Connie, my feelings as I looked into the eyes of the Fridge officer who approached me, hand outstretched. Hans Wolf, he said, gripping my hand warmly and holding it. I'm from Dusseldorf. I play the cello in the orchestra. Happy Christmas. Captain Jim Macpherson, I replied, and a happy Christmas to you. I'm the school teacher from Dorset in the West England. Ah, Dorset? He smiled. I know this place. I know it very well. We shared my rum ration and his excellent sausage, and we talked. Connie, how we talked! He spoke almost perfect English, but it turned out that he had never set foot in Dorset, never been to England. He had learned all he knew of England from school and from reading books in English. His favorite writer was Thomas Hardy. His favorite book, Far from the Madding Crowd, So, out there in no man's land, we talked of Bathsheba and Gabriel Oak and Sergeant Troy and Dorset. He had a wife and one son born just 6 months ago. As I looked about me, there were huddles of khaki and grey everywhere, all over no man's land, smoking, laughing, talking, drinking, and eating. Hans Wolf and I shared what was left of your wonderful Christmas cake, Connie. He thought the marzipan was the best he had ever tasted. I agreed. We agreed about everything, and he was my enemy. There never was a Christmas party like this, Connie. Then someone, I don't know who, brought out a football. Great coats were dumped into piles to make goalposts, and the next thing we knew, it was Tommy against Fridge out in the middle of no man's land. Hans Wolf and I looked on and cheered, clapping our hands and stamping our feet to keep out the cold as much as anything. There was a moment when I noticed our breaths mingling in the air between us. He saw it too and smiled. Jim Macpherson, he said after a while. I think this is how we should resolve this war. A football match. No one dies in a football match. No children orphaned. No wives become widows. I would prefer cricket, I told him. Then Tommies could be so of binning probably. We laughed at that, and together we watched the game. Sad to say, Connie, Fridge won 2 goals to 1, but as Hans Wolf generously said, our goal was better than theirs, so it wasn't quite fair. The time came, and all too soon, when the game was finished, the schnapps and the rum and the sausage had long since run out, and we knew it was all over. I wished Hans well and told I hoped he would see his family again soon, that the fighting would end and we could all go home. I think that is what every soldiers want on both sides. Hans Wolf said, "Take care, Jim Macpherson. I shall never forget this moment, nor you." He saluted and walked away from me slowly, unwillingly. I felt he turned to wave just once and then became one of the hundreds of grey coated men drifting back towards their trenches. That night, back in our dugouts, we heard them singing a carol and singing it quite beautifully. It was Stille Nacht, Silent Night. Our boys gave them a rousing chorus of while shepherds watched. We exchanged carols for a while and then we all felt silent. We have had a time of peace and goodwill, a time I will treasure as long as I live. Dearest Connie, by Christmas time next year, this war will be nothing but a distant and terrible memory. I know from all that had happened today how much both armies long for peace. We shall be together again soon, I'm sure of it. Your loving Jim. So, this was a letter which I read for you from Mr. Jim Macpherson to her wife. Now, dear student, as you have read the whole letter of Mr. Jim Macpherson, in which he is sharing his, unbelievable thoughts which he experienced in the warfield, and therefore, I'm just going to show you a video clip which represents the same which you read in the letter. So here we go. Let's start with the video. I hope you'll like it. Just wait a second. Hold on.
Hintergrund! Bleib im Hintergrund!
Jim? Jim, don't do it!
Halt! Er ist nicht bewaffnet! Nein, Otto!
Jim!
My name is Jim.
Mein Name ist Otto.
Pleased to meet you, Otto.
Freut mich.
Rose, she's called.
Ist schön.
Ist schön.
Danke.
Happy Christmas.
Frohe Weihnachten.
So, my dear curious students, I hope you liked the clip and you really enjoyed it. Now, some working moment for you people. Now, as you have read the letter, you might have been, distracted with the words used in this letter. That is quite difficult to pronounce and to remember. So you can go with the word meanings like standing to, taking up positions, trenches, long deep ditches in the ground where soldiers hide from the enemy, fridge, it's a German name, common name. So this type of word meanings you can remember, and you can write a summary of this later. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll meet again next day with the last portion of the story. Thank you.